Greetings, I'm Dr. Sean Reed, author of the Dating Toolbox, available on Amazon.com. So, today I want to talk about the importance of mindset, seduction, and the importance of mindset. You guys, mindset is everything. Okay, so we talk about all these specific tricks and tools to get women interested, and many of them are valuable, and I encourage you to study them, but the bottom line is the most important thing is your mindset. And I run into this with guys all the time, and these are guys that really have high value. They talk all the time about you need to have high value, you need to demonstrate high value, and all the ways in which you can do this. But the most fundamental way in which you to demonstrate high value is to have high value, is to have a mindset of high value. And today I want to talk a little bit about my own story and ways in which you can develop high value for yourself and thus become more successful with women. Okay, so with me, I'm kind of someone who was naturally good with women, okay? So from the age of 0 to 25, I had pretty large degree of natural success with women. I didn't have any system, there was no seduction community. I just sort of went out there and I was very good at talking to women and very good at picking up women. However, some things changed this fact, and I went from someone who was very successful to one who was very unsuccessful. And a lot of this had to do with the fact that when I was very young, I started abusing drugs and then alcohol. My father was an alcoholic. He died of alcoholism at the age of 10. My mother, who was a good person, an inherently good person, she tried very hard. But my mother also had many, many problems. She was, I guess today was, she beat me with a stick. And my mother, though, I don't have a resentment against my mother because my mother had a life that was much, much harder than mine. And so, I realize now that she did the best she could with what she had. So, but the bottom line was, by the time I was age of 13, I became a daily marijuana smoker. And then by the time I was I started drinking at 18. And by the time I was 25, I was a complete full-blown alcoholic, drinking a minimum of 15 beers a day. And what this did is it crushed my self-confidence. So a drug and alcohol problem took me from being this guy who was naturally good with women, who would naturally get lots of women, to someone who was drinking beer, smoking pot every night in his apartment all by himself. By the age of 25, no women wanted me. And so that would continue for quite a period. Even though I would get sober, I haven't had a drink in 35 years. I quit drinking at the age of 27, and then I struggled with some other addictions well into my 30s. But by the time I was 35, so I had a period of 25 to 35 where I was a complete failure with women. And it was primarily because I had lost my self-confidence and my mindset. So by the age of 35, really, in many ways, I looked to be a successful person. I was a multi-bodybuilding champion by then. I was on a prestigious Rockefeller scholarship in a PhD program on a very, very highly sought scholarship. They paid for my tuition, and then I got paid to go to school. But my self-value was still in the dirt. So even though, all these ways it looked like I was extremely successful and a person who should have high value, inside I did not have high value. And so what continued was, it was at that time I married a woman that I wouldn't even give two looks at today. That, I would meet this woman and say, oh, there's no way in hell I'm going to date you. I didn't recognize red flags. Because I had such low value, I allowed myself to become involved with much lower value women. And I was desperate because I didn't think I had any worth, and because I personally had no self-worth that was reflected in the kinds of relationships. So basically what happened to me is, and of course I had a failed first marriage, between the ages of 30 and 43, I developed my system. And one of the core aspects to my system is personal development, the development of self, the development of mindset. So by the time I was in my early 40s, I had become supremely confident. I had become supremely confident in my ability to talk to women, right? So at this time, I'm lecturing to classrooms full of beautiful women. I had become very comfortable with talking to women. I had become very comfortable with opening women. I had become very comfortable with getting women's phone numbers. And as a result, I had become extremely successful with women. Again, this was the period during which I developed my system. So what had happened was, by my early 30s, my 35, I was a successful person, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with 12-step programs and Alcoholics Anonymous and things of that nature. These are great programs for getting sober. Alcoholics Anonymous is a great program if you want to quit drinking, but it's a terrible approach to women. You learn, to be completely honest. You have to be rigorously honest. You have problems, you immediately discuss them. You're open about yourself. And this is great stuff for getting sober, but it's the absolute worst thing possible when it comes to women, right? I've talked about this before. You tell a woman you're an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic on your first date, you won't get a second date. You start sharing all your personal problems with a woman on your second date, you won't get another date. Even though Alcoholics Anonymous was a great way to get sober, it's a terrible program when it comes to getting women. So I had to learn that, and then I developed my own system based on evolutionary biology. First, it was based on the science of the human brain. It was based on an understanding of female brains, and then I started to get into some material from the seduction community. So I finally built a system, and part of that system is a mindset of high value. So guys, you need to develop that mindset that you are worthwhile. You are worth a beautiful woman. You are worth a successful woman. You have value, and that's a big problem I see in modern dating. Men in modern culture have become beat down. Our media, our universities, all our academic and all our other institutions tell us that women have high value by virtue of being a woman, but men don't have value. So guys, you need to change that mindset. You need to change to a mindset of high value. And, the other day we talked about the 5 components of seduction. Number 1 is mindset. So guys, you need to start to develop a mindset of high value. I was taught, so I have all these guys I work with, I coach, and they're trapped in this thinking that they are not worthy. I'm telling you that you are worthy. So, I've got a guy, I've got several guys who are very successful athletes. They've had failed relationships. They have good jobs. They don't make 6 figures, but they have good jobs. They might only make $70,000 a year, and they think because they don't make 6 figures, because that is the standard, which, modern women's in the media, and dating apps tend to hold men to, they think that they don't have value. I'm telling you that's bullshit. You do have high value. And once you develop this mindset of high value, you're going to become successful. So, we get in, I'm going to do another video on techniques of seduction. I'm going to talk about things like canned versus natural openers. And I'm going to talk about things like the yes ladder, the jealous girlfriend opener, the venue change. These are all tools, and some will say tricks, of seducing women, and they work. But again, the bottom line is you have to have high value. You must develop a mentality that you have high value, and I'm telling you guys that you do.